edition of ONME Sunday Mornings. My name is Juliet Dudley Najib, along with
Lennice Najib.
And we're at the African American Museum because we have just had a town hall meeting by the Fresno Metro Black Chamber of Commerce, State of Black Fresno, where we covered the issues of education, workforce development, business and finance, and healthcare from a different community leaders and speakers. And I know you got to be a part of the audience.
Yes, I was noticing that they was talking about the educational piece on that, and they was more or less into the workforce. So I thought that was very insightful.
And we'll be watching an excerpt of that so that you can watch the entire hour show in about several weeks or so. But we want to make sure you have a promo of that, the State of Black Fresno. And thereafter, we'll be watching an excerpt of Valley Black Talk Radio. There was a lively debate, I should say, between Cal Johnson and Christiansen L. Flemming.
Yes, I heard that Christiansen did a great job in representing the youth and looking forward in coming into office. So it sounds pretty good.
It was a real good debate, and so we're going to be showing a longer excerpt of that during Valley Black Talk Radio. And we want to remind you that if you want to make sure your news and information gets to us, and again, we represent all of the Central Valley, you can definitely send us an email at media@amptv.now. That's media@amptv.now. And for those of you who would like to put information on our community calendar, you can do that by going to vbtradio.org. That's vbtradio.org, and sign up for the free membership, and there you can put your event on the calendar, especially those nonprofits. Make sure you get your event on the calendar, and we definitely want to announce those events. And I want to talk about some of the national news briefly before we get into our topics from the State of Black Fresno and also Valley Black Talk Radio. Two national news topics that were, of course, it seemed to be germane to police brutality and what's going on out there in the diaspora. Well, first of all, Cornel West, I'm sure you know who he is. He's a philosopher, activist, well-known speaker, scholar, and writer. He was arrested with 20 others because he was in Ferguson, Missouri, protesting. Now, mind you, this was a peaceful protest, but he was still arrested, although he made the comment saying, I went to Ferguson, Missouri to get arrested. And I think that was more to say that, yeah, I'm going to get arrested regardless of whether I'm doing peaceful protesting.
It was a shame to see a scholar, national known figure get arrested and get handcuffed. It's a bad image to show our youth. It's a bad image to show our culture. To see a person of that stature get arrested, it was heart-wrenching.
Do you think that the police knew it was Cornel West or who they were arresting, or did they just see it as another black person? I hate to say
They knew that he was a black man. They didn't care who he was.
Right.
They just going to arrest whatever. It don't matter who he was or how he was doing it or what he was there for. They just wanted to arrest him, in my opinion. And
the sad part is, according to what they're saying in Ferguson, Missouri, is that there's been more police shootings even after the Michael Brown shooting, the 18-year-old that was unarmed, that was shot in August. And so that's a problem, and it's disturbing to hear at a peace rally that you're still getting arrested, and the 20 others getting arrested as well.
Yeah, that's sad. It brings you back to the 1960s.
Yeah, it almost.
We in 2014, and now we back to the 60s with the dogs and the
oh my God.
and the fire hose and everything else. So it's sad.
That's sad and scary. It really shows, and I know we had some discussion before, saying that we are truly training our police officers as military officers instead of peace officers.
Yes.
And there has to be some type of change and also some acknowledgement of that so that we as a community can begin to heal and mend. Because if that's happening in Ferguson, Missouri, most undoubtedly that's happening everywhere else.
That's correct.
Well, sad to say, I guess it brings me to the next topic that's still dealing with the police maybe acting out of hand once again.
Oh, it's shocking.
This is in Hammond, Indiana. I'm sure you heard this story because this has been their 14-year-old that was in the back seat, the son, filmed this whole thing. It's probably a great thing that he did this because he filmed what the cops are saying is a totally different story from what is being shown in the video.
Well, when I was watching it and I saw the cops asking him to come out, get out of the car, step out of the car, and he kept repeating, I'm not the driver, I'm just a passenger. I haven't did nothing legally wrong. And he kept illegally wrong. So the cop kept trying to get him out of the car and step out, and it was forced himself to break the window.
Well, let's watch a short excerpt of this video right now. It is shocking because, again, you'll see glass shattering. There's two kids in the back seat, a 14-year-old son and the driver. 7-year-old daughter.
Yes.
So the driver's 14-year-old son and 7-year-old daughter. It was a female driver.
Yes.
So let's watch that video real quick and then talk a little bit more about it.
Yes, my mom. No, I'm not making it worse now. I'm scared for my life. Because he just pulled a gun on us and we don't have a gun.
Sir, just so you know, we got
Go ahead.
recording here. You're on a body mic.
Go ahead.
I suggest you come on out the car.
Go ahead.
You a white shirt?
What's that?
A white shirt. I'm asking for a white shirt. I don't know what's going on. I just gave him my information. I don't know what's going on now.
Right. That's what I'm.
It's who?
Listen. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay?
I don't know what's going on. I never got out the vehicle
the
from being
seatbelt.
in the
I rolled the
passenger
window
side.
down.
You know what
He
I'm saying?
asked for
I
my
never got.
license and insurance. I gave it to him. Okay. Now he asked the man.
Y'all got white shirts here?
That's sitting beside me. He asked
Y'all
for
got
his
somebody in
ID.
charge of
He
y'all.
said he didn't have any ID.
Well, I just gave him
Okay.
my information.
So they asked him, you know, and I said,
I just
"Officer,
gave
can
both
you
of them my
please give me a
information.
ticket? If you
Y'all
give
got
me
my
a ticket
information,
for-
right?
For my license. I mean,
What
if
you
you're
do
gonna
with
give me a
that? What you do with
ticket
that
for
piece of paper?
no seatbelt. If you're gonna give me a ticket for no seatbelt, right here, then just give me a ticket so I can go to the hospital because the doctor called me to tell me to come in because my mom is about to pass away. All right, so I guess he's looking for his information in his book bag. When he digs in his book bag, they pulls a gun out. What was the purpose of a gun? And now they asking me to open my door so I can get out. I'm scared. If you can pull out a gun in front of it's two kids in the back seat. If
you understand?
Yes.
All right.
No, don't mess my. Now they about to mess my. No.
I'm not the
Now
operator
they
in
about
this
to
vehicle.
blast
So
my window.
if you do that, all right. I'm not the operation in this vehicle.
Are you gonna open the door?
Why do you say somebody's not gonna hurt you? People are getting shot by the police.
Oh, damn!
That was crazy. That is horrible. This is a horrible situation right here. This is wait. Are you recording this? Yeah. This is terrible.
Take it off.
This is crazy.
Take it off, man. I told y'all my kids in the car, man. Why would y'all do that?
Izzy, come on.
Talk about what, man?
Come on, climb. These police is crazy. They can bust out the car window and everything because they didn't have a seatbelt on. I gave them a life.
Okay, so we've just watched the video, and you see that the glass shattering. I'm more worried about the kids in the back seat.
Yes.
At this point, it doesn't even matter whatever they think that he did, but he didn't do anything. I want to make sure we point that out. This was the driver was stopped over a seatbelt violation, and according to
But they could have asked the driver herself to just step out of the car.
Sure.
I'm sure she would probably be more willing. And if they wanted the black man in there, that would have been a little more easier to go after him as well.
This is
But
true.
to just go right to the black man and threaten him, and he has did absolutely nothing wrong, it just don't make sense to me.
And the driver was on the way to see her dying mother, and this video is from September 24th. So she's on the way to see her dying mother, and they stop her for a seatbelt violation, but it's illegal to stop the driver and search the passenger according to Section 3.1 of the laws in Hammond, Indiana. So why did they ask him to get out the car in the first place? Because I know some people were commenting, oh, he should have just gotten out the car. as a
I
passenger.
believe it was racial profiling, black male racial profiling, just looking at it myself. I saw some of the comments on the internet when I was looking at it through Facebook, and some of them saying, some of the white commenters said, well, he should have just got out of the car.
Yeah.
The police officer said, get out of the car. Well, he should have just got out of the car. And he should have. He would have probably avoided the window being smashed and being tased.
I don't know if if I agree with you that he should have gotten out the car because there's no reason for him to get out the car. They asked him for his ID, and he said he didn't have it at the time. But not only that, Jamal Jones, that's the name of the man that gets pulled out of the car and then they tase him. Okay, that's a problem. If you watch the entire video, he actually gets pulled out of the car after smashing the window, and then that he's tased. And then the driver is Lisa Mahone, and she called the Hammond police as it was happening.
Wow.
And so I don't know if he should have necessarily had to get out of the car, though. I'm not sure I can see that quite as a reason to get out the car.
So
'Cause he hasn't done any violations. So
that's
what does he get out
correct.
the car?
Well, legally, that's correct. He hasn't did any violation, but at the same time, to avoid a situation, if he knows his 2 children in the back of the car, to save the peace, he could have got out of the car if he don't feel like he has anything wrong, or he's not carrying a weapon, or he has drugs or anything like that on him. But at the same time, he didn't get out the car, so he had to deal with the consequences of what the police officer wrath was. They smashed the car, and they tased him, and they drugged him out of the car. So now
but he still didn't do anything.
Well, the image of the kids watching, I don't know if that was their father. I don't know who that man was, but they're going to remember as a 14-year-old young male and a daughter at 7 years old, that's permanently scarring them for life, because they're going to remember this black man being drugged out of the car by a white police officer for no apparent reason.
And again, the fault is really on the peace officers. Is that really an example of keeping the peace? I think the fault lies there. I really think that Jamal Jones did a strong effort in showing that, number one, he stood up for his rights. He didn't do anything wrong. So I want to keep it there, because even though the kids might have seen this happening, that's good they saw this, because now they're seeing the injustice, not of Jamal Jones, though.
But okay, let's look at it from the police angle.
Okay.
Just let's play the devil's advocate. Let's look at it from the police angle. What would the police officer should have done instead of asking a number of times to get out of the car?
Here's my problem. Even if he would have gotten out the car, I think he still would have gotten arrested, just on the strength. I just think he still would have gotten arrested.
He got arrested anyway.
Well, he got tased. I'm not
He got
sure.
tased.
He got pulled out
He
and
got
tased,
pulled,
but
and then they arrested him.
I don't think he had anything to lose. So even if he would have gotten out of the car, I think it would have been a worse situation, and I think he would have been handcuffed and arrested. But for what? What was the reasoning?
Well, we don't know. And
We do know. It was a seatbelt violation that she was.
But we don't know. Okay, let's say he got off the car, or they tased him and he got off the car, okay, and he had warrants, or he had. They was looking for. It
doesn't matter. He was not the driver of the car.
That's true.
So I have to stick it with that. He was not the driver of the car, so technically he should have been asked to get out. Fine, he could have been asked to get out of the car, but it shouldn't have taken it to a point where he's getting pulled out the car and tased.
Okay.
I guess we got to bring it back to the Central Valley, because after this break, you're going to be watching an excerpt of the State of Black Fresno town hall meeting that the Fresno Metro Black Chamber of Commerce sponsored and put on. And you'll see myself along with Tate Hill, who's the president and CEO of the Fresno Metro Black Chamber of Commerce, moderating and hosting that, and a number of business and community leaders. So after the break, stay tuned. You are watching ONME Sunday Mornings. We'll be right back.
I'm Brian Pacheco, and I'm running for supervisor because our community and its future are very important to me. My family has been in farming here for 4 generations. This is the real California, where hard work and strong families are the norm, not the exception. Working together, we can improve our schools, drive gangs and crime away from our homes and our neighborhoods, and bring good jobs to our district. I'm Brian Pacheco, and I would be honored to receive your vote.
AMP-TV is proud to bring you a combined effort of all the black media sources in the Valley. Stay up or set your DVR for AMP-TV programming on KC24 from 1 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. Let us be your source for what's happening in the black community. Saturday at 1 a.m. on KC24.
An important message for Americans in need of health insurance. If there's been a recent change in your life, you are eligible for immediate protection under the Affordable Care Act. If you're uninsured because you missed the enrollment deadline, we can help. To get the protection you need, you can visit the Healthcare Exchange and spend hours exploring your options. Or you can make a single call to Health Markets and let us do the legwork for you at no cost or obligation. Health Markets Insurance Agency searches thousands of health insurance plans on the exchange and off from more than 120 leading companies like United Healthcare, Humana, and more. We'll find you the right insurance coverage and guarantee the lowest price for plans we offer. And if you qualify for a government subsidy, we'll make sure you get the tax credits you deserve. Talk to us on the phone or meet with a local licensed representative. Why pay more than you have to or risk going without the coverage you need? Put our free service to work for you.
Call Health Markets today at 1-800-958-1057. That's 1-800-958-1057.
AMPTV can now be watched on TV anytime through our Roku channel or on your computer online at amptvnow.com. Better yet, go mobile, live.amptvnow.com.
One New Media Expression, ONME, brings you a repeat broadcast of ONME Sunday Mornings from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. every Sunday, followed by live radio with Valley Black Talk Radio from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. on 1680 a.m. Here's every Sunday from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. on 1680 a.m. One New Media Expression, ONME.
Do you have a structured settlement from a settled lawsuit? Are you currently getting regular payments from an insurance company for that settlement? To turn those payments into a lump sum payment now, call CBC Settlement Funding today. You can access all or just a portion of your settlement.
To learn more about getting your money now, call us at 1-800-307-2065 for a free, no-obligation offer. Again, that's 1-800-307-2065.
And so business and finance is at the core of who we are and what we do. And as we did this survey, it was really interesting what people said about finance.
Okay.
You'd have thought it would have been about business loans or whatever,
sure.
But it was actually about how do we educate young people about banking, credit, finance before they turn 18.
Account for 10.8% of the labor apprenticeship program statewide. Historically, there's been a low number of African Americans in the building trades, including some of the highest wages trades, carpentry, electrical, and ironworkers.
Definitely.
And finally, your second bullet, African American young males between the age of 16 to 25 have the highest rate of unemployment in their age group in Fresno County at 20.5%, which is more than triple the national rate. That's high, isn't it?
Definitely.
So what he did is he said, hey, James, you want to learn finance? I'm going to make you a TA, a teacher's assistant. So I taught Finance 120. So if you're going to teach a class, if you want to understand something, teach a class, right? And if you're going to get up there and teach a class, you're going to be prepared, right? So I was prepared every day and everything in terms of teaching that class, and I made sure that I understood what I was teaching, what I was instructing on.
I know there's an organization called Junior Achievement, which I am a huge fan of because it allows us as community to actually get involved in actual high schools and also elementaries, get us in front of the students and teach them some of those core basics in terms of how does the economy start? How do you save money? How do you balance a checkbook?
Right, and just to piggyback on what she said, unity in the community, getting out there, letting the parents know. It is not that they don't want to help their children, sometimes they don't know themselves.
So, I think it's very important, and it all comes back down to education. Education is the most important. It all starts there with your education. And like you said, as far as a JC, 4 year, it's your education. I can't push that enough.
There was a survey done by Duke University earlier this year called Beyond Broke, Why Closing the Racial Wealth Gap is a Priority for National Economic Security. And it showed that there was a wealth gap between blacks and whites, and it's growing. Even their liquid assets, money that you have readily access to, African Americans, their wealth was at $200, and Caucasians, theirs was at $23,000. And overall, the wealth gap between African Americans, just including all assets, is 15 times smaller than our Caucasian counterparts.
AMPTV can now be watched on TV anytime through our Roku channel or on your computer online at amptvnow.com. Better yet, go mobile, live.amptvnow.com.
I'm Brian Pacheco, and I'm running for supervisor because our community and its future are very important to me. My family has been in farming here for 4 generations. This is the real California, where hard work and strong families are the norm, not the exception. Working together, we can improve our schools, drive gangs and crime away from our homes and our neighborhoods, and bring good jobs to our district. I'm Brian Pacheco, and I would be honored to receive your vote.
An important message for Americans in need of health insurance. If there's been a recent change in your life, you are eligible for immediate protection under the Affordable Care Act. If you're uninsured because you missed the enrollment deadline, we can help. To get the protection you need, you can visit the Healthcare Exchange and spend hours exploring your options. Or you can make a single call to Health Markets and let us do the legwork for you at no cost or obligation. Health Markets Insurance Agency searches thousands of health insurance plans on the exchange and off from more than 120 leading companies like United Healthcare, Humana, and more. We'll find you the right insurance coverage and guarantee the lowest price for plans we offer. And if you qualify for a government subsidy, we'll make sure you get the tax credits you deserve. Talk to us on the phone or meet with a local licensed representative. Why pay more than you have to or risk going without the coverage you need? Put our free service to work for you.
Call Health Markets today at 1-800-958-1057. That's 1-800-958-1057.
One new media expression, ONME, brings you a repeat broadcast of ONME Sunday Mornings from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. every Sunday, followed by live radio with Valley Black Talk Radio from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. on 1680 a.m. Here's every Sunday from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. on 1680 a.m. One new media expression, ONME. The Psychic Source has been giving over 1 million quality psychic readings to North American customers since 1989. Call for questions about love, relationships, careers, and more. If you're not happy with your psychic reading, it's free. That's a no-risk guarantee. Call the Psychic Source today, the oldest, most respected, and authentic psychic service available for over 25 years. Call the Psychic Source at 1-800-261-2255. That's 1-800-261-2255.
We like coffee too here, you know, and
tea.
And tea, yeah, we like coffee and tea.
Well, Cafe Aroma's gonna thrive.
You know, that we drink coffee in urban areas, right? The local coffee shop. Everyone doesn't want to go to the big brand coffee shop. Sometimes you really just want to be able to support a local business where you're going to know the people that are there. They're going to know you by name. And this is one of the places that I'm going to look forward to having a lot of meetings and inviting people to this location.
1, 2, 3.
Cafe Aroma.
We are located at 550 North Fulton Street in Fresno, California, right before Belmont Avenue. Find out more. AMPTV is proud to bring you a combined effort of all the black media sources in the Valley. Stay up or set your DVR for AMPTV programming on KC24 from 1 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. Let us be your source for what's happening in the black community. Saturday at 1 a.m. on KC24. Welcome back to ONME Sunday Mornings. My name is Julia Dudley Najib, along with
Lennice Najib.
And we just got through watching an excerpt of the State of Black Fresno, and it's the town hall meeting that the Fresno Metro Black Chamber of Commerce put on. And then after that, they had a following meeting at the Urban Leadership Conference that following day to talk about more detailed information for businesses and the community to be able, and we'll be giving some excerpts on that as well. And people will be able to see the State of Black Fresno. Stay tuned because we'll let you know when we're airing it on our network, AMPTV, and thereafter, after we air it on television, you'll be able to watch that online. Again, that was an insightful piece, several minutes of dialogue showing community leaders that were standing up, talking about solutions, because we sure do like to complain, right?
Yes. Yes, I was noticing also Charles Francis mentioning about the vocational education.
And how that's really career, technical. Oh, he's going to kill me. I still didn't get it right. But it's the fact that it's not called vocational education anymore.
Yes.
But we know what he's talking about.
Yes, and how they have their programs geared towards helping students be successful in that vocational area that we want them to go into.
Right.
So it looks very promising.
Yeah, from education to business and finance. I thought the bankers did a good job giving us some insight. And so you'll have to watch that whole show. That'll be coming up in a couple weeks or so, and we'll have you stay tuned on that. Meanwhile, let's watch an excerpt of Valley Black Talk Radio. It was on 1680 AM, and this is a longer excerpt because there is a lively debate between Christiansen Flemming and Cal L. Johnson, and that's the Fresno Unified School District board seat that they were running for elected office for November 4th election. And so it talks about, well, I'll let you watch it first. Let's watch that excerpt, and then we'll come in and talk about it.
The Psychic Source has been giving over 1 million quality psychic readings to North American customers since 1989. Call for questions about love, relationships, careers, and more. If you're not happy with your psychic reading, it's free. That's a no-risk guarantee. Call the Psychic Source today, the oldest, most respected, and authentic psychic service available for over 25 years. Call the Psychic Source at 1-800-261-2255. That's 1-800-261-2255.
An important message for Americans in need of health insurance. If there's been a recent change in your life, you are eligible for immediate protection under the Affordable Care Act. If you're uninsured because you missed the enrollment deadline, we can help. To get the protection you need, you can visit the Healthcare Exchange and spend hours exploring your options.
Or you can make a single call to Health Markets and let us do the legwork for you at no cost or obligation. Health Markets Insurance Agency searches thousands of health insurance plans on the exchange and off from more than 120 leading companies like United Healthcare, Humana, and more. We'll find you the right insurance coverage and guarantee the lowest price for plans we offer. And if you qualify for a government subsidy, we'll make sure you get the tax credits you deserve. Talk to us on the phone or meet with a local licensed representative. Why pay more than you have to or risk going without the coverage you need? Put our free service to work for you.
Call Health Markets today at 1-800-958-1057. That's 1-800-958-1057.
Fresno County needs leaders who will fight for our community values. That's family farmer Brian Pacheco. Brian will fight for new jobs and to deliver water to our farms and family. And he'll work with law enforcement leaders to crack down on gangs and violent crime. Brian Pacheco, small business owner, school board member, our choice for supervisor.
I'm Brian Pacheco, and I would be honored to receive your vote.
AMPTV can now be watched on TV anytime through our Roku channel or on your computer online at amptvnow.com. Better yet, go mobile, live.amptvnow.com.
We like coffee too here, and
tea.
And tea. Yeah, we like coffee and tea.
Well, Cafe Aroma's gonna thrive.
That we drink coffee in urban areas, right? The local coffee shop. Everyone doesn't want to go to the big brand coffee shop. Sometimes you really just want to be able to support a local business where you're going to know the people that are there. They're going to know you by name. And this is one of the places that I'm going to look forward to having a lot of meetings and inviting people to this location.
1, 2, 3.
Cafe Aroma.
We are located at 550 North Fulton Street in Fresno, California, right before Belmont Avenue. Find out more. AMPTV is proud to bring you a combined effort of all the black media sources in the Valley. Stay up or set your DVR for AMPTV programming on KC24 from 1 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. Let us be your source for what's happening in the black community. Saturday at 1 a.m. on KC24.
Policy, though, that's something that's ongoing. That policy, did you change the policy? Did that policy change?
No, I did not change any policy as it related to
expulsion
or expulsion.
So then the problem that she talked about then still exists.
Are you talking about a high suspension or expulsion rate?
Yes, of African American males in particular.
No, what the expulsion or suspension rate for African American males is going down.
It is. So you're comfortable with that. You believe that's you're heading in the right direction, and there needs to be no further discussion in the community with that. It's going to happen.
I believe that things are changing.
Okay. Mr. Flemming, you just heard his response. Was there anything you would have done different if had you been a board member and been asked to agendize an item that was well within your... First of all, let me back up. Was it in your authority to ask that item be placed on the agenda for discussion as a board member?
That situation had already been dealt with in what she was talking about. That was if I recall correctly, that was a student had already been suspended or expelled.
I understand the action had been taken. The question was, though, did you have the authority as a board member to add that to the agenda?
I gave her what she was supposed to do in terms of getting that on the agenda.
We going left, you going right. I simply asked you, did you have the authority? Not what she had to do. I want to know what you had, if you could have done it had you wanted to. Or have you ever added anything to the agendas?
Oh, yes, I have.
Oh, okay. So you could have done that also?
Yes, I could have.
Okay, all right. That's what
I would say I could have.
Any closing remarks you'd like to make before we because we're getting ready to take a break here and we're getting ready to move to the next subject area. So anything you'd like to?
Yeah, well, I want to talk about the expulsion rate for white students. There's 8,041 students white in Fresno Unified School District. There was 34 referrals for expulsion, 31 expelled. There's 47,988 Hispanic or
Can you
Latino.
hold that thought to we're getting ready to go. You hear that music? We're getting ready to take a break. We're going to be right back after the break. You're listening to Valley Black Talk. We'll be right back.
And we are back. Look, it's Jewel doing the intro. We want to thank our guests in the studio tonight, Mr. Cal Johnson, who is the incumbent in Trustee Area Number 1 on the Fresno Unified School District Board, and challenger Christiansen L. Flemming. Mr. Flemming, I had to ask, Christiansen? It is Christiansen.
Yes.
Okay, how did you end up with two last names? Is it a family name?
The first name?
Christiansen, yeah.
Well, I don't know. You'd have to ask Tony Marie. That's
Okay.
my mom.
Miss Tony Marie.
Yeah, you have to ask Miss Tony Marie.
All right. And Mr. Flemming, as I said, is the challenger for Trustee Area Number 1.
Just before the break, he was going to finish what he had to say. We cut him off because of the
That's
music.
right.
So can you remember what you were going to say?
Yeah.
Because I can remember my question.
Okay, and I'll answer it. I was going to talk about the expulsion rate for white students. There's 8,041 students in Fresno Unified School District. There were 34 referrals for expulsion and 31 expelled. There's 47,988 Hispanic or Latino students. There were 133 referrals and 112 expelled. There's 6,487 African American students, 71 referrals, 61 expelled. 251 kids up for expulsion, 215 expelled from the school, with blacks being the highest percentage of the kids being expelled. Now, the suspension for the Caucasian or white Americans, total days missed was 1,681 days. For the Latino Hispanics, they missed 9,536 total days. For the African American children, they missed 4,314 total days by expulsion and suspension. That's a lot of truancy. That's a lot of missed out learning and education.
Well, that would explain why we're falling so far behind.
Yes, it would. And, you know, one of the things that when I get into office, I'm going to claim it. I want to work with the community, and I would like to address community issues. And I would also like to reach across the table and around the table to work with other trustees and board members to implement policy. I would also like to be easy accessible. Going into January 1st, I would already like to have an agenda in place where I can meet at maybe Gaston and Edison and Sunset or different schools with the community to make myself easy accessible and to be a part of the community where they feel like they can trust me. And so when the district meetings are downtown, maybe we don't need a whole bunch of police and extra security because they understand that we've discussed certain issues. Now, I don't have an easy fix. I don't have a quick fix for a lot of things that's going on. But I will definitely make myself easy accessible to the community in order to earn their trust. And I'm going to end with this because I'm done after this. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say this honestly. I would want Cal Johnson to support me and to get all his voters to vote for me and pass the torch and let me go ahead and be in the election. He served his time, been there for 8 years, and use his wisdom and knowledge and let the young man come in and support me with all his wisdom and characteristics, and let's empower the community together. That's what I would like.
Okay, so Mr. Johnson, two things. First off, is there any one thing that you really want to accomplish during this next term, should you be returned to your seat?
I would say I'm currently working on something right now in terms of the Edison Annex, and which will be hopefully that links Fresno Unified and State Center Community College together to have Fresno City College in our district, and also linking up using Gaston, the Foundation Hinton Center, and some other programs there in the community. Also, I would like to see that we really include vocational education, CTE. How do we really engage the business community with us in meeting the needs of our people? Because our people do need jobs. When we talk about that, and like I said, I spent all of my life working in student services, and I think that I was very successful at doing that. Years ago, I worked in what was called vocational education, working with the disadvantaged in vocational education, and I had worked in Job Corps. When we talk about linkages and various pathways, well, I have that experience already, and I would just like to bring that to Fresno Unified. We've talked about vocational education, we set that aside, but I always think about W.E. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington. Had we listened to them, we would have that discussion of academics versus vocational education. We would be that much further ahead.
It would be both.
And our kids, we would not have that unemployment that we have, because at one time we said everybody go to college, but everybody wasn't college material. And when we talk about having principals and et cetera, and I'd just like to throw this on, I think I used this the other day. There was this young man who was interested in being in the plumbing area, and they were not accepting people of color at that time. So that young man had to become an attorney. But he said that I really wanted to be a plumber. But look at me, I'm an attorney.
Well, let me ask this. You talk about vocational and trade schools when the district's pushing for college readiness. And in the Flemming School District, with 37.7% of the kids being college ready, and in 2005, you were part of the board. Where did you vote with Mike Hansen when he took away vocational programming, when he took away wood shop, auto shop? Where did you vote? Where did your vote lie when those programs were being taken out of the school district?
In 2005, I wasn't on the board, and that was when the Fresno Unified was about to go broke. I didn't come on the board until 2006, and that's when we made many changes as related to the total funding. So I can't really speak to what was going on in 2005.
Okay, so in 2006, what did you implement for vocational and technical schools?
And that's when we started talking about vocational education, or CTE.
But talking about, though, did you implement anything? Has
Yes.
anything?
When we talk about it, you know, you talk about that process and how do you go about implementing those things, and you have to have the funding. Duncan, this is Duncan, we have this automotive part there, and so we do have some vocational classes going on right now.
Not as much as you'd like to see.
Not as much as we'd like to see.
But where did your vote lie? How did you vote? Did you vote with Hanson, or did you vote against Hanson for the technical and vocational? Or did you, like she said, implement, but where did you stand with Hanson for the vocational, or are you standing with the college readiness?
All right. Well, let me explain it this way. When we talk about college readiness, when we talk about vocational education, however you want to define that, when you talk about A to G requirements, so you could talk about the technical and the vocational education. Also, you can go to college and you can get a degree, a BS degree, and whatever, and or you can just terminate at the AA degree, or you can just go to doing apprenticeship programs and eventually get out and get a job. So when you talk about college readiness is going to encompass the vocational education in terms of vocational training and etc. So that's what I'm saying. A to G requirements so that you do not limit an individual, because an individual, if he decides to switch, then he can go on to a school and get his BS degree as opposed to having a BA or whatever.
Okay. I want to know, there are obvious benefits to youth and fresh blood. There are obvious benefits to age and wisdom and experience. But Mr. Johnson, it has been 8 years. Do you think it's time for a change? And if not, what are you going to do to, to revitalize, we want to see some change. We want to see some measurable change.
And when you talk about measurable change, like I said, then, see, when I got on the board, first ran, and I know that everybody likes to get credit, but in 2006 I said that we were going to get a middle school, and today we have a middle school. And I was a driver for that, but I know that everybody is the driver for that. And when I said that we're going to do some things at Edison High School, we've done those kinds of things. Right now we're getting a swimming pool. And when we talk about what am I going to do collectively together with the board, we're going to do great things for Fresno Unified.
I got a question. I wasn't there for when the community had board meetings on the naming of Gaston Middle School, but I talked to a couple of the people in the community, and one of the questions arose of why did they change the name to Gaston from Carver? And then the second question is, a lot of people in the community said they've been fighting for a basketball gym for over 27 years, and why is Edison going to a swimming pool prior to a basketball gym?
That's an interesting question, and I think that in the next cycle of funding, that will happen.
A basketball gym.
I said I think that will happen.
There would have to be a bond measure for it? Or would the money just...
No, the money's not just going to come.
You got it, yeah.
I think that will happen.
There's been a lot of bonds voted on.
It's very easy to sit and talk about bonds. It's like talking about how come we don't have teachers, and I mentioned the fact that you need credentials to do that, and when we talk about money, you have to have money to do all these other kinds of things, and I think it's incumbent upon all of us to really look at that. And I can appreciate what Mr. Flemming is asking about education and teachers, and etc.
Let me get well, not necessarily, but my question would be, so do our kids misbehave more than others, or is it simply that they're not understood because very few people in their school look like them? And even if they did look like them, in public school, I know when I worked at a private school, which was African American owned and operated, we could say, now boy, you know your mama, she would be so mad if she saw you acting up like that.
That's
Can you
correct.
say that in public school now? Can you take a student to the side and say, do you want me to tell your aunt so-and-so how you, can we do that?
Okay, so the politically correct answer to that is yes and no. I did that. Okay.
Okay.
I did do that.
Mhm.
Now, I would say other teachers that maybe are of a different race, if they did that to students, it might be a little bit challenging.
Okay.
But I have seen some other students, other teachers of other race that did do that,
Mhm.
and the students actually showed more respect for them.
Mhm.
Figure that, right?
Okay.
And maybe it's a lack of the discipline, not being able to do that, and California law has it so strict where of course you can't hug a student.
Right.
And of course you can't badmouth a student or anything like that. But I think there's still ways to discipline in the classroom, and I think more and more we're getting away from that. And you
We
have teachers
just
that are in fear
send them
too.
to the office and-
Right, because they're tired of dealing with it. It might be a
Mhm.
continual, habitual problem. But again, that has to do with the training and diversity training of teachers. I have to go back to that.
But it also speaks to the question that was raised about smaller districts and being able to manage it better, and that's part of the management. When you talk about the discipline, it's very difficult when you're so huge and you have a disconnect in what this school does versus what this other school does versus what this other school does, because the consistency can be lost because of the mass of what you're dealing with. So I think that's critical in terms of one of the responses that I was looking to hear when the question was raised about splitting a Fresno Unified School District. You know, how much do you have to study to know that when you're smaller you can move better?
Right. One new media expression, ONME, brings you a repeat broadcast of ONME Sunday Mornings from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. every Sunday, followed by live radio with Valley Black Talk Radio from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. on 1680 a.m. Here's every Sunday from 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. on 1680 a.m. One new media expression, ONME.
An important message for Americans in need of health insurance. If there's been a recent change in your life, you are eligible for immediate protection under the Affordable Care Act. If you're uninsured because you missed the enrollment deadline, we can help. To get the protection you need, you can visit the Healthcare Exchange and spend hours exploring your options.
Or you can make a single call to Health Markets and let us do the legwork for you at no cost or obligation. Health Markets Insurance Agency searches thousands of health insurance plans on the exchange and off from more than 120 leading companies like United Healthcare, Humana, and more. We'll find you the right insurance coverage and guarantee the lowest price for plans we offer. And if you qualify for a government subsidy, we'll make sure you get the tax credits you deserve. Talk to us on the phone or meet with a local licensed representative. Why pay more than you have to or risk going without the coverage you need? Put our free service to work for you.
Call Health Markets today at 1-800-958-1057. That's 1-800-958-1057.
Fresno County needs leaders who will fight for our community values. That's family farmer Brian Pacheco. Brian will fight for new jobs and to deliver water to our farms and family. And he'll work with law enforcement leaders to crack down on gangs and violent crime. Brian Pacheco, small business owner, school board member, our choice for supervisor.
I'm Brian Pacheco, and I would be honored to receive your vote.
AMPTV is proud to bring you a combined effort of all the black media sources in the Valley. Stay up or set your DVR for AMPTV programming on KC24 from 1 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. Let us be your source for what's happening in the black community. Saturday at 1 a.m. on KC24.
And we're back, and you are watching ONME Sunday Mornings. My name is Julia Dudley Najib, along with
Lennice Najib.
We just got through watching that long excerpt of Valley Black Talk Radio on 1680 AM which airs every Sunday evening, because from 8 to 9 p.m. you can watch ONME Sunday Mornings repeat broadcast, and then from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. is where you have that live broadcast of Valley Black Talk Radio. And I don't know, what did you think about the lively debate between the two?
I thought it was very interesting. It's very heated
What's
debate.
interesting? What interests you
Well, more or less how Cal Johnson was going more into what was more standard, and more or less I see the fiery energy from Mr. Flemming, and I like that.
And nothing like having a young burst of fire and being able to have the veteran flame to help assist and make that fire stronger. That's how I saw it.
Yes, he seemed like he got a lot of energy. I was hoping that more or less Cal would pass the torch towards him and give him more of an advisory role, so to speak, but he seemed like he can be very helpful for the district and very helpful for the youth.
And you need that in education. And
Yes.
we've said time and time again, we're educators. And we know the energy that it takes to really stay vibrant, stay in tune in the know with what students are doing,
Yes.
right? And I think that's a big part of it, seeing the energy and the sincerity of a candidate. I think that's what everybody wants in the community. And also making sure that the community is educated.
Well, we want the best person for the job.
Sure.
Right now, as we mentioned many times before, as the standard states, we don't have any African American principals, and he's an African American person that's on the board, so that's a bad sign.
Could be. Or you're saying Cal.
Yeah, Cal. He's right there on the board right now, and that's a bad sign for me. We need some new energy. We need a new spark. And we need somebody to go in there and really make some changes for the positive in the community.
And then thereafter, we did have our election talk and had some national news tidbits that we discussed. But I think that when we're looking at how we're voting in America and looking at how Black people do matter, I think that that will help us to instill to our young folks why it's important to be a registered voter, why it's important for you to say that I can change my own community, my local community. That vote does matter, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I was noticing, yes, it very well does matter. That one vote. I was noticing also,
just takes one.
when somebody was watching the show and they stopped me and they got their registration, and there's a African-American female, and she normally don't vote, but she's planning on voting this time. She really going to the polls and going to vote and mail her ballot in or whatever way. And I was like shocked, and she said just by watching this program, she's seeing how important the voting is, and she want to participate in this voting process.
You know, another topic we didn't get to film that Valley Black Talk Radio did discuss is the State Center Community College District debate that's going on with Eric Payne. And it's not really a debate, I should say the conversation that's become a public piece now. And we were able to pinpoint and help the public to understand the challenges of wanting to put censorship based on hearsay or based on personality conflicts, when really it's about, okay, what has this Board of Trustee done wrong? I think that should be the focus. It's always about protocol for me, and also it should be for our community so that they know we're following the right protocol. And I don't know how you feel about that, but when you looked at, we looked at the document in detail and talked about it on Valley Black Talk Radio.
But see, I know him personally, and I know how he is more careful on everything that he does. And he's a very stand-up guy, and I just don't see...
And we've had him on the show, and in fact, he's been careful of what he said on the show because he's afraid of being demonized like he was, unfortunately, in the media. And so we challenge the public to do their research. It's important you do your research on your own. It's a public document. You can look it online or go to the Board of Trustees, State Center Community College District, and find out for yourself and look at the details on that, where they clearly say from the board that we haven't seen that the Board of Trustee member Eric Payne has done anything wrong, but we wanted to point out in Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C, based on comments from a secretary that used to be Dr. Blue's secretary, and saying that he looks threatening and he appeared to me in an aggressive manner when he was sitting there texting, I couldn't do my job. There's things like that that I don't think shows validity. So I'm about the process. It's one thing if you have a board of trustee and you're pointing out that this board of trustee has done something wrong by speaking to the public about closed session or going out of protocol like this board has done what they did with Chancellor Blue. Those are my issues. To bring it to a race issue like they did, I think is unfair and it's unwarranted. And if we're going to continue to do this, then we have to be able to talk about race relations in our community, because that's what this is really about. Or we can start to stand together as a community and talk about what is correct in protocol. And, you know, and if Trustee Payne were doing something out of protocol as a board of trustee, which they clearly deem he has not done according to the bylaws, then there needs to be clarity on that, and someone should clean that up.
Yes, I agree. That's a mouthful.
Right.
I agree.
That's it. I agree. But yeah, that was one thing we didn't get to talk about on local topics that I wanted to bring back up, and we talked about that on Valley Black Talk Radio. And again, we're not talking about Eric Payne's character. I'm talking again about protocol.
And the process.
And I hope that the community takes the time to look at that document and to explore correct protocol instead of just seeing what you see in the news. And just depending on that information and thinking that as truth, because that happens so often for many of us.
Now, again, what do you think the importance of it is? If I was going in there and I'm going to have a busy schedule, what's the importance of his position? What is the importance of him being in that position? And why
he served as a public figure, so the information that actually he was seeking was for the public. That's the unfortunate part. And maybe it shouldn't have been him going to go do it, but since he's, you know, on the, you know, they have him on a dart board or what have you. He's really the bullseye. Maybe they could have had someone else. He could have had someone else do it, or ask a public figure to do that. I know that we've done that as the media, asking for the Freedom of Information Act to get more information based on the protocol of how Chancellor Blue, her exit from the Valley was treated. So everything's a case by case. So in this case, I'm just asking that the board follow due process and follow those guidelines on behalf of the community.
Yes.
Yeah. So on that note, again, we always run out of time, and we want to thank the Fresno Metro Black Chamber of Commerce, of course, the African American Museum. This is where we held our town hall meeting. We definitely like to thank our crew, Jabari, Sharad, Don Priel, who have been there from the beginning. Thank you, crew. And
KC24.
And also KC24, and also CBS 47. And we thank you for watching this edition of ONME Sunday Morning, and we hope that you have a great week.
AMP-TV is proud to bring you a combined effort of all the black media sources in the Valley. Stay up or set your DVR for AMP-TV programming on KC24 from 1 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. Let us be your source for what's happening in the black community. Saturday at 1 a.m. on KC24.